Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Oyindi Fuluperani Mashapa, Wananyana Wamuvenda. And if you're here for the first time, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, a veteran in this channel, welcome back for yet another exciting episode of Risk Money and Insurance. And so today we are back with a brand new video. And I think the reason or the main purpose for this video is because a lot of us, because of the pandemic, are working from home. And I remember once at work, they were talking about, work from home tax rebates and stuff. Yeah. And we're all just confused in terms of, okay, who can claim? What is this? How does it work? So guys, I've got you covered. I've got Nto again. He's back and he's going to clarify all these things, everything about this working from home tax rebates. And so, Mto, welcome once again. Thank you.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah.
I feel like this is my home now.
You might as well just be part of the furniture, Yeah. No, thank you so much for coming. So I have prepared a couple of questions for you. So feel free, just tell us everything. Sure. We want to know this. We really, really want to know. So the first question is work from home tax rebates. What are they, right? You've touched on this like the last time when you were here. So can you please just elaborate further and also just say who can claim and how does it go?
Okay, all right. So I guess this is very topical now, especially since the pandemic, because a lot of people had to work from home.
Yes.
And some are still not back in the office full time. So what it is essentially is that if you are working from home for like more than 50% of the time, then there is a possibility that you can get an allowance for all your home office expenses.
Yes.
The important thing to understand is that if this is now, we're talking about full-time employees. So people are employed full-time, and ordinarily they will be working at the office, but now they're required by the company to work more than 50% of their time from home.
Yes.
The important thing to understand is there's a few requirements which you go through that.
Yes.
And people must be careful to make sure that you meet all of them before you want to claim.
Yes.
So the first one is that you must have space set aside that is used exclusively and regularly for your home office.
Yes.
And like we said, it must be more than 50% of your time.
Of your time, yes.
And the other important part to consider that you must also have a letter from your employer that says that you are allowed or you've been asked to work from home.
Okay.
Once you meet all of those, then you can start talking about the allowance. So what the allowance is that you are allowed to claim any or all the expenses that are related to your home office.
Okay.
We're talking your rent.
Yes.
We're talking your interest if you have a bond.
What about my coffee?
If you can justify that it's for your trade and your home office.
Okay.
Yeah. So what would happen then is that if you are using that space exclusively for the office, and you can prove to the receiver of revenue, because if they do want to see the space, you must be able to separate it and show this is the part of my house that's been set aside just for the office. Okay. It can't be the corner of your bedroom. Mixed use. No, it must be exclusive for that.
Yes.
And then once you are in that ambit, then you are able to claim certain expenses that are in relation to running that home office.
Yes.
That would also include your internet cost, your rates and taxes, your levies. And what SARS does is that for expenses that are not directly just for the home office, for the whole house, like your rent, you need to apportion that. And the apportionment to be based on the area of your home office in proportion to your whole house.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I need to know those square meters, like this
is
my home office.
You need to have a floor plan for your house to begin with. Just know how big is your house and know how big is your office. Yeah. And then your calculation would be then the area of your office over the whole
the whole house
area of your premises in square meters, and then you can apportion all of those expenses in that
ratio. Okay. And I just a quick diversion. What about if my spouse and I are sharing that home office?
It's a difficult one. But I think then at the end of the day, you will have to be able to justify who's using the home office. You now to be careful with the wording, because it's exclusively and regularly used for your trade. I don't know whose trade it is. But that's a very interesting question. Yeah, that's an interesting question. But other costs that you can claim there is that if you've bought office equipment, you can claim wear and tear on the assets. You can claim cost of your office furniture, like your desk and your chair, which you should be just at the beginning when you're setting it up. Only claiming desks every year. That's it.
No, that's interesting. So at least if you're working from home, you have an idea right now as to can you claim, can you not claim, depending on which space you're using. I feel like for me, I'm already out because like my desk is literally.
So try to get some space.
And like have a room dedicated as like a home office, for example. Okay, so another question is, what about people who are self-employed or like businesses? Can they also say, Nati, we're working from home? Can we actually?
So like earlier we spoke, what we've been talking about was for full-time employees, because this is in relation to your employment. But once you're saying you're self-employed, then you're running a small business there, then you can claim your normal tax allowances in relation to expenses in production of your income. So remember, it must be actually incurred. So you must have an invoice for it. You must owe someone, you must have paid something, and then make sure that it's not capital in nature. So if capital in nature in tax, they're referring to things that are not current running expenses. So for example, we spoke earlier about interest on your bond. So if you had the bond payments, that repayment of a loan, so that can go through.
Okay. All right. I mean, I know you love the technical part. I feel like we've already touched on this when you were talking about apportioning your expenses with regarding to your floor areas and stuff. But do I need to be able to prove that to SARS? Like, this is the square meters.
Definitely. So you need to have your home office calculation ready when you submit. They may request for it. And your calculation must have some supporting documentation. You can't thumbsuck the number. So you must have some official floor map, floor plan of your house. And then the other important things to think about is for every expense that you want to put in towards the claim, you must have supporting documentation, whether an invoice, if it's electricity, you must have something to prove that you've incurred that cost. And if you do get audited, which happens a lot with this particular expense,
the auditing,
remember the onus is on you. You bear the burden of proving that it's deductible. It's not the other way around. So you must be able to prove to us that these expenses you've incurred, you must have your letter ready. So prepare a small file already that says this is my home office expenditure claim. Once you have everything ready and your calc makes sense, then only then you can put it through your return.
No, I feel like that's the tedious part, keeping records and all of that. What if I don't have the receipts, but I do have the payments reflected on my bank accounts, my bank statement, sorry?
So again, like I said supporting documentation. So you would also have to apply yourself in terms of what is adequate support for an expense. If in your bank statement you're able to put through and prove this is what it relates to, not an e-wallet there and say sending it to someone.
E-wallet and then I took the cash and
But it's always best to be prudent when it comes to this. So if you're shaky and not sure about something, rather not include it. Last year, I think before the close of last year's taxes in SARS just did a webinar explaining what the story is with the home office expense. And what I found interesting is that they said they had sampled about 8.5 people at the time, and 60% of them failed. So they disallowed all of those claims. So they're very pedantic about it.
No. So you need to make sure that all your documents, everything is in check, and you can literally say, well, this is supporting this, because otherwise SARS will be saying, you are playing games, taking chances with us. So we do know, we've been mentioning it in this video, that SARS, if you are claiming for this, SARS will definitely, or most likely, we're talking 90% and above chance of them auditing you, right? So in general, I know you've mentioned like having supporting documents and calculations. What other things, just to be prudent, to be on the prudent side, what do I need to have like prepared?
Yeah, so I think the first thing, like you're saying, if you're claiming it for the first time, you're very likely to be picked. That's the first red flag, because you are part of the people that may be taking chances because they've had a few days at home.
Yes.
The other thing that you must keep in mind is that they've gone out to say that they might even ask for photographs of their office. And if they're not satisfied with all of that, they might even give you a home visit.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah. I don't know if that has happened in practice, but it's very important to be aware of those things.
Yes.
That you have
if
you ask me,
ready.
I would already take pictures and say, this is my office on this day, and then put it as part of my support.
Sure. Okay. So you guys, I'm not even gonna claim for this because I know, like,
but the point is not to scare people. I think it's not that you shouldn't claim if you even cared it, but I think it's rather make sure you have the support before you put in the claim, because sometimes people go with the catch me if you can't approach.
Oh yes.
You put it in and then they ask questions and then you start looking around.
Answer. Yes.
So better you think about it, and that's about everything on your tax return. Have a practice of good record keeping and make sure that you actually think about what will be required of you when SARS is doing a verification, and then already prepare for that.
Yeah. No, this just reminds me of something that my friend and I were chatting about this week, to say, it feels like you must treat yourself as a company. Like all the expenses relating to you as an individual there must be like a record trail of the expenses you've incurred and everything. And like in terms of your money coming in, you budgeting, like it feels like you are forced in this day and age to actually be like a company, have financial statements, if we may put it that way.
I wouldn't go as far as financials, but it's important to know what's happening with your finances outside of taxes.
True.
That's why you always talk about having a budget. You have something that shows this is what's happening in my life.
Yeah.
And obviously now for tax purposes it becomes more important. But I think it's generally a good practice to keep good record. And these days things are digital, so you don't always have to have a file somewhere. They just make sure you save your stuff somewhere on some drive somewhere, and you're just ready, to benefit.
All right. So the last part of this video, I just want us to chat a bit about, there are companies that may say we can do tax returns for you, right? Especially for people who might have like really complicated tax returns and they may not really have the knowledge and understanding to actually do the tax return themselves. Right. So what would you say to those people? I mean, it is an option. It's there.
Definitely. So I think the first point to understand is that if your tax is your responsibility ultimately. You should never try to defer it or move it to someone else. But you may get someone with the expertise to help you.
Yes.
And in that case, if that happens, it's important that you do your due diligence and make sure that person is legit. If someone comes to you with a proposal that's too good to be true, like I get you a 10K.
Definitely not true.
It's definitely not true.
Yeah.
So check that, be reasonable.
Yeah.
And I think it's good. I wouldn't discourage it. If you think your tax is a bit complicated, it's a prudent thing to seek advice before you put in that return.
Yes.
But don't go for fly-by-nights. Make sure you find people that...
Those ones that come and say, we will give you, get you a return of 10,000.
And the signs are always there. Look at how they're operating.
Yes.
Some guys will tell you we do everything via e-wallet. So there's no trace.
Yes.
So when you get into such things, be able to say, if someone was questioning this, will I be able to trace it back to the person that helped me? Because at the end of the day, it's a return filed under Fulu's name, and SARS is coming for you.
Yes, and not them. Yeah, okay. So guys, we've come to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it and all your questions have been cleared. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I love you guys so much. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.